Today on Cook's Country, Julia and Bridget make duck breasts with port wine fig sauce. I share the quirky history of Tarte Tatin. Then Bridget makes a beautiful version of it. That's all right here on Cook's Country.
There are restaurant dishes that are difficult to recreate in your home kitchen. Maybe you don't have the time, or you don't have the equipment, or you don't want to put in the effort. Well, then there are restaurant dishes that you should be making at home. So should I, but I don't. Like duck. I love ordering it on menus, but I don't make it at home until now because Julia's going to show us a very easy way to prepare duck.
That's it. Now, duck is as easy to prepare as a chicken breast. In fact, I think it's easier because duck has more flavor and you have that gorgeous duck fat to work with.
It's known as better chicken.
It is actually. So the first thing you got to do is get your hands on some duck.
Okay.
And these are from the supermarket. These are 7 to 8 ounce duck breasts. Now, these are Pekin duck breasts, which is usually what you find at the supermarket. And what you want to do is you want to score the fat. You see, I've already scored 2. I'm going to score these 2. That really helps that fat render, and that is the key to making good duck. So, sharp knife, turn the duck over. Look for any bits of silver skin that might be a little chewy. You just want to take those out. And trim any excess fat. You want to leave a little because it renders and it shrinks in the pan. All right, so like I said, you want to score this fat. You don't want to go through the meat, just through the fat. Going to do a hatch mark pattern, about 1/2 inch between hashes. So going one direction. So do that way. And then I like to actually turn the breast the other direction. Makes it easier to do a nice hatch mark. The other trick, season these thoroughly. Gonna pat them dry, top and bottom. Now we're gonna season them with a lot of salt and pepper. This is 2 teaspoons of kosher salt and 1.5 teaspoons of ground black pepper. Season it liberally on both sides. So you want to give the salt some time to work. So you want to do this at least 6 hours in advance, but you could do it up to 24 hours in advance. Just going to cover this with plastic wrap, wash my hands, and we'll put it in the fridge. All right, this duck has been salting for at least 6 hours. It's time to get cooking.
All right.
So here I have a nice 12-inch nonstick skillet. And this is the method that works with no matter what kind of duck breed you have, because it starts in a cold skillet. Heat's not on yet. So what I'm going to do is lay the duck in the skillet fat side down, because rendering the fat is really the most important part. Otherwise it tastes too flabby.
Sure.
But you know, the meat itself, it's as thin as a boneless, skinless chicken breast. It'll cook like that. So you want to give that fat time to render and get good and crisp. So we're going to turn the pan on medium heat, anywhere from 17 to 20 minutes. So while that's cooking, we're going to make a quick sauce.
Okay.
Now, once you know how to make this sauce, you'll find yourself making it for everything because it is so simple and so good.
Great.
All right, so it's figs and port, classic combination with duck. So this is a 1/4 cup of black mission figs. And we're just going to cut them in half. That way they can soften nicely in the sauce as the sauce simmers. All right, so into the little saucepan they go. Now we're going to add the port. This is ruby port, just 1/2 cup.
Okay.
No need to use any fancy or expensive port. The least expensive ruby port is perfect here.
Gotcha.
So we're going to gussy up the flavor with some vinegar. This is a 1/4 cup of red wine vinegar. Give it a little punch. And last, a little sugar. 3 tablespoons of sugar, a little sweet,
Sure.
a little vinegar, a lot of port. We're going to put this over medium heat. We're just going to let this simmer on its own about 15 minutes. The sauce will reduce, it'll look a little syrupy, and the whole thing will measure about 1/2 cup.
Fantastic.
That's it.
That's it?
It's the waiting game. Don't things smell good?
They smell amazing.
All right, this sauce is done. It's been reducing for 15 minutes. You can see the texture of the sauce. It's reduced and it's just slightly thickened, but as this cools, it'll get even thicker.
It's just on the cusp of being a syrup.
Yep. So I'm gonna set it aside off the heat. Now let's take a look at our duck that's been cooking over here on its own. I've been checking it periodically, obviously. All right, let's take a look. Oh, goodness. Oh, one more beautiful than the next.
Can't get that with a chicken.
Nope, slow and low is the tempo for this. Now on this back side where there's no skin, I'm gonna turn the heat down to medium low, and it really only takes a minute or 2 to finish cooking that meat through.
Gorgeous.
I'm guessing you like medium rare duck?
I love medium rare duck.
Same. So we wanna cook it to about 125 degrees.
Okay.
All right, it's been about 2 minutes on this second side. It doesn't take long to finish cooking that duck through, and it's just slowly cooking in that rendered duck fat. All right, so again, we're gonna take the temperature, medium rare. We're looking for 125 to 130, somewhere like that. Oh, there we have it, 127, perfect. All right, off goes the heat. Duck comes out of the pan, and I'm gonna put it on a wire rack and just let it rest for about 10 minutes. Let those juices redistribute before we dive in. Cover with foil. We're gonna let those take a little 10-minute nap under their space blanket. And meanwhile, this fat, I'm not gonna throw it away.
Thank you.
This is liquid gold.
Sure is.
I'm gonna set it off heat, let it cool down a little bit, then I'll strain it and put it in the fridge to use again later.
Save that fat.
Okay, the duck has been resting. Et voila. All right, so now I'm gonna slice these up on a gorgeous bias and make a beautiful platter. Oh,
Beautifully pink.
medium rare right in the center.
Getting a little bit of that duck crackling fat on top of every piece. Yum, yum.
Yep. All right, I'm gonna put this on a platter. There we go.
Oh,
Perfect medium rare. You know, some people like it a little more well done, and that's okay too.
Sure.
There are instructions for that in the recipe if you like it medium. Oh, perfectly cooked, all of them. Here's the sauce that has been cooling. It's still warm. You can see it's just a little bit thicker.
yes.
And it just glides right over the meat. I'm gonna save the rest of this for our plates.
Yes, please.
All right, I'm gonna go for the back end here.
Oh, lovely.
A little extra sauce with a few of those figs.
Gorgeous.
Oh, enjoy, Bridget.
I know I will.
It feels like a special occasion when you have duck, doesn't it?
It sure does.
Duck has so much flavor, and that crisp skin on top, and that pepper and salt.
Beautiful, beautiful flavor. And it's luscious. It's rich, even though it's duck breast.
Yep.
It's the breast, but it still has all that gorgeous marbling and fat. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, and with a little bit of port,
Oh, the port is
the
lovely.
fig, and that black pepper kind of sneaks up at the end.
I need to get some of that peppery crust. Beautifully seasoned.
Right, and it's so foolproof when you start in a cold skillet. You're really not going to go wrong.
But don't tell anybody how easy it was to make. Don't tell anyone. Thank you.
My pleasure.
You should be making duck at home too, and it starts this way. Score the skin and salt for several hours. Start skin side down in a cold skillet. Meanwhile, simmer ruby port, figs, and vinegar for an elegant sauce. So from Cook's Country, the better chicken, duck breast with port wine fig sauce.
So good.
So great.
Love our in-depth reviews? Get the latest from our reviews team delivered straight to your inbox. Our well-equipped cook newsletter provides top product picks, no-nonsense buying guides, and must-try recipes. No extra fluff, just the smartest ways to shop, save, and cook. Sign up for free now at americastestkitchen.com/newsletter.
Have you ever made a mess in the kitchen while baking a cake? I know I have. Now imagine if that mess became your legacy. That's exactly what happened if we believe the story behind the French dessert, Tarte Tatin. Stephanie and Caroline Tatin were sisters who ran a hotel in the small town of Le Mont-Beuvron. According to legend, one of the sisters accidentally put an apple tart in the oven upside down, but decided to serve it to the hotel guests anyway. The resulting dish was a hit, and the Tarte de Demoiselle Tatin was born. Tarte Tatin began to appear throughout France. In 1926, Kernonsky, known by many as the Prince of Gastronomy, published a recipe titled The Famous Apple or Pear Tart from the Demoiselle Tatin of Le Mont-Beuvron. And by the 1930s, Tarte Tatin was being served at Maxime's, a trendy restaurant in Paris. But was Tarte Tatin really created by accident? It is a fun story, but it's probably not likely. Several sources believe that Tarte Tatin stems from the French tradition of baking tarts upside down or renversé. These types of baked fruit dishes existed long before the Tatin sisters were even born. For our version of Tarte Tatin, we made all the mistakes so you won't have to.
We'll get you right back to the video. Check out Cook's Country's newest book, The Complete Cook's Country TV Show Cookbook.
Over 16 seasons and more than 600 recipes are condensed into this cookbook, jam-packed with every recipe we feature on the show, plus stories, tips, and reviews.
Go on the road with Cook's Country and tour the U.S. through food. Get inspired by dishes from restaurants, regions, and chefs all over America.
All in this one convenient cookbook.
To order your copy of the Complete Cook's Country TV Show Cookbook, scan the QR code or visit cookscountry.com to continue your Cook's Country journey.
Tarte Tatin is a classic French dessert with soft caramelized apples beautifully arranged on a buttery crust. And by all appearances, it's a fairly simple dessert, but it can be a little tricky to make just right, which is why I'm excited that my favorite pastry chef and good friend Bridget is here to show us a foolproof method.
Yeah, it's one of those desserts, I don't know how the French do it, but it's a little bit refined and rustic at the same time.
Yes.
So before we get to the caramelized apple part, we're gonna work with the dough. So I've got 5 ounces here. Always a good idea to weigh your dry ingredients. This is all-purpose flour, 5 ounces or a cup. We're gonna add a little bit of sweetness. I've got 2 teaspoons of sugar and a half a teaspoon of table salt. Just regular old table salt goes in there. I'm gonna blitz this for a few seconds until it comes together. All right. So next up, we're adding butter. This is 8 tablespoons of very cold butter, chilled. So we've cut it into half-inch pieces and then let it chill in the fridge. You can even put it in the freezer if it's really, really soft. You don't want it to be frozen. You just want it to be very, very chilled. That way the resulting pastry will not be greasy. So I'm just gonna pulse this a few times. I'm not looking for the butter to be totally incorporated, but we're not done yet. So about 5 pulses should do it. All right, knock down that flour on the side. There we go. All right, obviously, I don't know if you can see in there. Let me pull a little bit out.
Yeah, the butter is different sizes. There's some very tiny bits that have been worked in, but some big chunks too.
Yeah, you get some of these big chunky pieces and some smaller bits. So not done yet. I do need to add water. This is ice water. Just got some water and ice in here. And I just want to pour out a 1/4 cup. So this is going to go right in here all at once. All right, so now I'm going to let this go about 10 seconds until it really does come together. After about 5 seconds, I'll go in, scrape down any sides, make sure it's all evenly mixed. So I'm going to just dump this out onto a clean countertop here, and also very hydrated. And you're going to see that is going to definitely work out for us to our advantage. All right, I'm going to bring some bench flour down here. But I basically, at this point, want to mush it together and then start working it into a 5-inch disc. So let me go ahead and roll this out. I'm going to use a bench scraper because it is sticking a little bit to my surface here. I'm going to flour the bench and flour the dough a little bit. It's really well hydrated, so we can use some flour here. I want to roll this out to about a 9-inch circle. And if I do see any cracks around the edges, I do want to start to get them into non-cracky appearance.
No cracks allowed.
And I am turning this each time that I roll it, trying to keep it a nice circle. And we do want to pay attention here to the shape because this is, again, Tarte Tatin is always made in a skillet, or a round dish. And we want to make sure that we don't, A, make this too big and it won't fit in, but also that it's beautifully round so that it covers just the right amount of apple filling. All right, so now we want to get it on a half-sheet pan here. It's been lined with parchment paper. So I'm going to use my rolling pin just to gently transfer that. You can reshape it back into that circle as needed. Looking for crack-free edges here.
That is a gorgeous looking piece of pastry.
All right, one more thing that we're going to do at this point. We're going to make a few slits in this so that when this goes and tops the apples and it bakes in the oven, it has a little bit of a escape route for the steam. So I'm just going to make 3 slits, about 1.5 inches, 2 inches. There we go. All right, so a little bit of plastic goes on top, and this is going to go into the fridge. We want it to really chill down, get nice and firm. That's going to take at least 2 hours, but you can do this up to 48 hours in advance. So this is the point of the recipe where traditionally we would start to make a caramel first, and then we'd add the apples, and you'd hope that you made the right amount of caramel for the right amount of juice that was going to come out of the apples. So we're going to switch things up a little bit. I've got a tablespoon of unsalted butter here going into a 10-inch nonstick skillet, and you want to make sure it's oven safe. And now I'm going to turn this to medium-low. We're going to let that melt there while we work on the apples. We're using 5 apples.
You're very specific about the number here.
Very specific about the number and the weight. You want to look for apples that are about 6 to 7 ounces each. That way we know that they're the right size, because often you'll get apples that are too big, too small, and it can be a lumpy, bumpy Tarte Tatin. We want to make this as elegant as possible. So I am going to peel it. You want to look for apples. Something like a Golden Delicious is a great apple to use, something that's buttery. It's going to soften, but it's not going to turn to mush. It will keep a little bit of structure, but we're going with Gala's, which is another great apple to use today. All right, there we go. So we're doing a minimum of prep here. We actually want larger pieces of apple. So I'm just going to quarter this. And now we want to core each quarter. But instead of getting out an apple core, which never really gets all the core, instead you just hold this on one straight side and you angle just to get that core out, just like that. That's it. Let's bring these closer to the butter. Butter's melted. Now I'm going to slide this off the heat. So now we're going to add the apples directly to the butter. And we can take our time and make kind of a pretty arrangement. Basically, I'm just kind of shingling these. So I want to make sure that I get all the apples in. And it's not just about being neat at this point. It really is about even apple dispersion throughout the pan. Because sometimes if you just dump the apples in there, especially if there's chunks, you'll end up with a little bit more apple on one side than the other. So as these go into the center, they don't have to continue the spiral. And they're actually going to help to hold up those apples. All right, so I've got a little bit of table salt here, 1/4 teaspoon. Just going to sprinkle it evenly over the apples. It's going to really enhance their flavor, but it's also going to help to draw out the moisture, and that's exactly what we want. So let me scooch this back over, and we're going to put this on medium-low heat again. Cover it, and between the salt and the lid, both of those things are going to help to draw the moisture out of the apples, which is exactly what we want. We actually want a lot of liquid to come out and flood the bottom of the pan. So we're going to cook this long enough so that that happens, the liquid comes out, but also it starts to reduce just a bit. And that's going to take between 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay.
Let's see what's going on in here.
Ooh.
Right, juicy, right? That only took about 10 minutes for this to happen. You can see some bubbling action in there. That's good. We want that liquid to come out of the apples at this point. And now I've got the lid off. We're going to leave this for another 3 to 5 minutes until most of that liquid has evaporated. Smells amazing, doesn't it?
It does.
So the liquid is mostly gone. There's a little bit of sizzling still in there, but that's basically the apples getting a little sizzly in the butter there. And you might see a little bit of browning on the bottom, but if you don't, that's fine too. But we're done with this for now. I'm going to slide it off heat. Now we're going to work on a caramel separately from the apples.
Very cool.
All right, so caramel starts with sugar, as all good things do. This is 3/4 cup of granulated sugar. It's about 5 1/4 ounces. I've got some water here. This is a 1/4 cup of water, just a little bit. And I've got 2 tablespoons of corn syrup, just light corn syrup. And this is going to help prevent crystallization, which is the nemesis of caramel making. All right, so I'm going to turn this to medium-high heat, and I'm not going to stir it at this point. I don't want to get any of those sugar crystals around the edge of the pan. So we're just going to watch it about 4 to 8 minutes. And what I'm looking for is it'll be clear, but around the edges, it'll start getting a little straw-colored.
Ooh.
All right, I just started swirling a little bit because you can see around the edges, it just turned a little bit of a straw color. So that only took about 5 minutes. It's anywhere from 4 to 8, so you really need to be vigilant. But now we want to let this go even farther. At this point, the caramel would be really brittle and very pale. So we want it to be much deeper in color. So I'm going to keep swirling this, but I also want to reduce the heat down to medium-low.
Yeah, it's just starting to get a little bit of color.
Exactly. Slow it down at this point. And really, this is important. You want to slow down the process. Otherwise, you'll get really unevenly browned caramel. The outside will be very burnt, and the inside will be almost blonde here. We want a nice, even, light amber color. So we're going to let it go here, again, over medium-low heat until it registers between 355 and 360. And that's how we're going to know that it's the right flavor, it's the right color, and the right consistency. All right, so I think this is pretty close. You know, when it starts to get close, I like to take it off heat, swirl it around a little bit. I think we're done.
It's the right color.
It is the right color, that nice amber. It just went over 360.
Perfect.
Let's get it off the heat. I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter. Just stop the cooking. Very carefully adding this in.
Oh, yum.
Might have some splattering and spluttering. There we go.
Oh.
All right, so just letting that cold butter really stop the cooking process here. And of course, it turns caramelized sugar into actual caramel. So now this is going to go over those apples. Again, there's no heat under there. They've just been sitting on this burner. And see, this way we can, again, control the color of the caramel, control the color of the apples, the doneness, everything before we even put the dough right on top. Again, the pan's a little bit hot, and it's not going to go all the way to the edges of the pan, and it's going to cradle the apples. So when we turn the Tarte Tatin out, we're not going to have apples everywhere.
Oh, I love that idea.
So this is going to go into the oven, 350, and we want to bake it until this is beautiful and brown, and you'll see a lot of bubbling around the edges. That's going to take anywhere from 50 minutes up to an hour.
Okay.
Oh my
Oui, madame.
goodness, definitely going to wrap this handle because this is hot. Check out those bubbles.
That is gorgeous.
Lovely browning on top, and the bubbles are big and beautiful, and that's how we know that that caramel filling has thickened just enough. So we're going to leave this for about 20 minutes, let it firm up a little bit. We still want to serve it warm, so we'll come back in 20 minutes, and I expect the entire Tarte Tatin to still be in this pan.
You better keep an eye on me.
20 minutes. That was the longest 20 minutes of my life.
It was.
But it's cooled down just enough. You can see the bubbling has stopped. It's set up a little bit. The dough is settled in nicely. You can actually see the little cradles over the apples.
Yeah, you can tell where they are.
But we don't want to let this cool off too much. Otherwise, we're going to eat it right out of the skillet. We need it to be warm enough so that it releases. So I'm going to use a little spatula. You can also use a plastic little picnic knife. And I'm just getting in the edges there.
Just loosening it up.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to invert it right over here. And I like to have this here, the handle off to the side like this, because it allows me to flip the whole thing, rack and all.
Rack and all.
Rack and all.
Oh, here, let me help you get that rid of that.
Thank you. All right, just a wee bit of touch-ups there I need to do. I'm going to take that rack.
The apples, I love how they're just a little darker around the edge and lighter in the middle. They're perfectly arranged on top.
Gorgeous. All right, so I'm going to cut a couple pieces.
Okay.
Nice crisp crust.
Yeah, you can hear it. That is a thing of beauty.
Isn't it gorgeous?
Yeah.
Now, I know this is a very French dessert, but think about what a change up this would be for like a Thanksgiving table.
I was just thinking that.
Exactly. All right, so you can serve this with ice cream. I like to use just a little bit of really good farm fresh cream. Mind if I
Just
pour
a little
over?
bit, yes, thank you.
Just a wee bit. Just drizzle. It's also good with creme fraiche. Be beautiful with that, a little bit of tanginess.
Going right in with a little piece of apple on that crisp edge.
Crust, I know. The little edge. The toffee apple edge, right?
It is such a simple, pure flavor. You get apple, then you get butter, then you get the caramel, and then the texture, that crisp crust. It's almost like a crisp cookie under there.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like a thick pie dough.
Oh,
It's just enough to hold up the apples.
I love that dough. Because it is tender and it is buttery, but it's sturdy enough to stand up to this. It's not soggy as if we would have used a puff pastry. It'd be completely soggy at this point.
Strong apple flavor. It is soft all the way through, but you still can cut it with a knife.
They're buttery. They're velvety. Not mushy at all.
Oh, Bridget, j'adore.
Oh, j'adore. Thank you.
Thank you for showing me how to make this.
Anytime.
If you want to make the perfect Tarte Tatin, make a buttery dough in the food processor, cook gala or golden delicious apples in a skillet, and make the caramel on the side. From Cook's Country, a fabulous and foolproof recipe for Tarte Tatin. You can get this recipe and all the recipes from this season, along with select episodes and our product reviews at our website, cookscountry.com/TV. If you're ready to take your cooking to the next level, head over to americastestkitchen.com and get a free trial of our ATK Essential membership. While you're there, you can sign up for our free email newsletters and download our app. So, what are you waiting for?